All right, so here we are for math lesson 9.2 on percents and proportions. I hope you have your book open somewhere around this video and some paper so you can work some of the problems out. We are on page 454. Today I'm going to show you my favorite way to solve any percent question. As we go through this chapter, I'm going to also show you a different way, which is called the percent equation, I believe. But I prefer this method for most percent questions. And as I've said before, when I'm teaching you different methods, different ways of solving, please use the one that is easiest for you, even if the book instructs you to do it differently. Now, because I haven't taught you percent equation yet, in 9.2, when it tells you to use a proportion, which is referring to the percent proportion that I'm about to teach you, you're going to have to do that. But when we move forward, if in percent equation lesson it says use the percent equation and you like proportion, just keep using proportion. That's fine with me. But I think this is the easiest one, especially on the heels of chapter 8 where we did a lot of cross multiplying. I think that you will agree with me as we go through this lesson. So let's look at, let me give you some little tips about this percent proportion. So all of these things, all of these variables have meaning. P obviously means percent. Now that's a little bit confusing because we have the 100, so we're saying percent this way, but just take my word for it. In a minute, when you have a problem and it says 40% of 70 is what number, well, you would put 40%. So the P means what's the percent that they gave you in the problem, okay? A is the part of something, and B is the whole. So what does that mean? Well, let's look at example number 1, which says what percent of 3 is 1, okay? This is kind of a hard one to use as my first example, but here we are. I'll make it work. Another hint that I like to give the students, A is a part and B is the whole. Also, the number that follows is going to be the part. It's going to be A. And of is talking about of 3, of the whole amount, okay? So when you see the word of, you're not going to multiply because that wouldn't make sense in this. The question is, what percent of 3? So it doesn't mean multiply. It's saying of this whole thing, what percent of it is 1? So my 2 hints for you, and I think this is actually the easier one to use, is when you see the word is, whatever number comes after it, and in this case that was 1, okay, that's going to be A. It's going to be on the top. And when you see the word of, the next number is going to be B, or what goes on the bottom, okay? That's a little bit weird. You'll start to kind of see as we go through this what I'm talking about. Let me clear all of this off and we'll solve that example 1, even though it's solved for you in the book, but I'll just talk my way through it. Okay, so what percent of 3 is 1? So using the hints that I gave you, you should know that of 3 means 3 is going to be down here. It's the whole. It is 1. So 1 is what percent or what part of the whole 3, okay? 100 always goes here every time, okay? But you can only have one variable or you can't solve. And in this case, the variable, the one we don't know, is the P. What percent? They're asking you that, okay? So this is the proportion that you should set up, okay? Cross multiply. 1 times 100 equals 3p. Then you would divide both sides by 3, and you would get 33 and a repeating 3, or 33 and a third. And you will see that is the answer to example 1. Okay, so using that skill, let's move down to the guided practice number 1 and see what you can do with it. If you want to try it on your own, pause the video. Number 1, what percent of 40, and there's our key word of, is another keyword 16. So fill in the blanks. Of 40 is 16. Always have 100. What percent? So again, our variable is the p. Cross multiply and you get 1600 equals 40p. Divide both sides by 40. And you will see that the answer is, I will do the long division off to the side. Don't want to encourage calculator use. 40 doesn't go into 160, but my guess is it will go, 40 doesn't go into 16, but my guess is it will go into 160 4 times, and so p will equal 40, okay? 40%. Now, why do I say that? Because the question said what percent. That's what we were solving for. So, this is very important. If the question says what percent, you have to put this percentage sign next to the answer. All right, clearing this off, we're going to try number 2. Again, if you want to try it on your own, pause the video. Number 2, what percent, I'm going to quit writing the question at the bottom. Okay, somehow I just shrunk my screen. I don't even know how I did that. What percent, so this side is going to be what we're solving for. Number 2, what percent of 400 is 52? Okay. Cross multiply, 5200 equals 400p. Divide 5200 by 400. 400 will go into 520 once. That leaves 1200, and 400 will go into 1200 3 times. So it is 13%. I have to write down the percent. All right, that is number 3. Oh, was it? Oh, that was only number 2. Okay, 2 more. What percent? So again, we are solving for p. What percent of 80 is 15? Cross multiply and you get 1500 equals 80p. 1500 divided by 80. It will only fit once because twice would be 160. That leaves 700. And I'm just going to have to take a guess here that it's going to be 8. That's 640. That leaves me with 60. I would now be at a decimal, and that brings me to 600. 80 will go into 600 7 times. That's 560. That leaves me with 40. So I should get 18.5 8.75%, or 18 3/4% is actually what you'll see in the back of the book. I don't know why they're using fractions instead of decimals, but the same answer. Okay. And again, you can use the calculator for the long division parts. I'm fine with that. Okay. And last one that follows along with this kind of example. Actually, I'm kind of running out of time on this video, so I'm going to move on to example 2. Let me point out that there's another chart at the top of 455 of common percents. You might have noticed a minute ago, I think we talked about 33 1/3% is 1/3. Those are some other ones that you might want to know, or refer back to that chart if you need to. All right. I'm going to skip over example 2 for the sake of time on this video. The next set of guided practice questions makes you solve for something besides P, and that's what I want to get to before my time runs out. So I am going to write this question down. This is number 6. What number, we haven't seen that question yet, is 76% of, still have that key word here, of 25? Okay, so come up here to my proportions. What number is 76% of, so the 25 has to go in the base. That leaves me with this blank right here, and I know that that's A, because based off the percent proportion that's written out for you on page 454, this part, the word that follows is, usually, would be A. You can use any variable, but A is what the book will use. Cross multiply. So everything else is the same, but you can only have one variable. Remember, I said that earlier. All right. Oh, goodness. I am going to use my calculator for this one because I am running short of time. So when I cross multiply 76 times 25, I get 1900. And 1900 divided by 100 would be 19. And my answer, therefore, is 19. Not 19%, because the percent was already given. They asked me what number. Okay? Let me see how we're doing on time here. Oh, just about another minute. Okay. Let me give you one more quick example solving for B, the whole, so that you see how to do that, and we should be good to go with this lesson. All right, so I'm going to skip way over to number 10 on page 456, and it says 14 is 56% of what number? I'm telling you, if you can keep this is over of in your mind, you will not have trouble setting these up. Okay? So, let's fill in what we know. Okay? 56% of what number? So, we don't know that. Okay? What follows the word of that's the question. What number? So I'm going to put a B. You could put a question mark if you want to. You just need some kind of variable. Because the question is worded differently than the way we started, 14 is part of what number that we don't know. So 14 goes on the top. Again, you would cross multiply, and you would get this equation, which you would then divide 1400 by 1400 divided by 56 is, for some reason, I can't get my calculator to work, 25. And that would just be the answer. All right. If you want to try, there's my timer. So my video is about to end. Hopefully I won't get cut short. Looks like I got about 15 seconds left. If you have any questions out of 9.2, I have assigned only odds that you can find the answer in the back, but feel free to email me and let me know that. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.